What's going on, y'all? We about to check out Destiny debating Andrew Wilson and getting smoked. Yeah, he ain't gonna wanna debate Andrew no more, man, for sure. For sure. Let's check this out, man. Hit the like button, share the video as well. Let's get into it. I'm gonna try not to pause too crazy. I know I'll be pausing a lot. Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Hit the like button, guys.
The intent of the people could have just been to riot, not indeed to commit to any sort of treasonous.
The channel we're watching this from is Justin Reloaded.
Insurrection activity. And you have failed to demonstrate this time and time again, how this actually would meet the criteria of an insurrection. Them showing up, and just like your take in 2021, right? When you say, hey, look, the damage would have been way worse if they had shown up with the purposes of actual insurrection or some type of 1776 mindset. This is the most armed nation on planet Earth. How in the world can you say these people showed up specifically in order to do that? That makes no sense, man.
The woke streamer Destiny got into a very heated debate here on the Fresh and Fit podcast, but it was with Andrew Wilson, the conservative kind of debate guy, commentator, whatever you would like to call him. He got absolutely demolished. Destiny did in this debate with Andrew Wilson here on the Fresh and Fit podcast about the issue of J6. We all know that Destiny is one of those people that has extreme TDS, and he's been getting absolutely destroyed in a lot of these debates. In this video, in this heated debate between Destiny,
I'm not talking about Destiny. Justin Reloaded, his content's pretty decent.
Destiny and Andrew Wilson. Not only does Destiny,
listen, I'm not somebody that hoards the love. There's gonna be a lot of people that watch me that be acting like they don't. They acting all scared, like they don't want to let me get no shine. I don't do that. I let people know who I be watching because I appreciate people's content, and that don't take away from my light. That's not going to make people watch me less. You know what I mean? Whoever wants to watch me is going to watch me. And I want to recommend the people that I think ain't on that bull crap. And so far from what I've seen, he makes pretty decent content.
Lose, but he gets extremely triggered because he lost, because he gets backed into a corner and he has to basically admit defeat. I'm just going to do this clip here from this debate between Destiny and Andrew Wilson.
Wants to kick it off?
I can kick it off real quick.
Okay.
So, Destiny, would you agree with me that the motivation for demonizing the opposition political party often revolves around calling them traitors, accusing them of treason, and pushing for, some type of villainization that they are against the country, they are against you, they are against everybody?
For another debate, maybe, but that's not at all any of the subject matter here.
Well, I think it is. I think it ties in because I believe that the motivation for why you're claiming that the other side are a bunch of insurrectionists, though you have no direct evidence of this, and your own criteria is just that.
His wife left him for Ezra Miller. That's a fact. For Ezra Miller 2.0.
Of basically a riot, that your motivation is just to demonize the opposition.
Sure, but this isn't a debate over my motivation. I could be motivated by 100 million different.
I'm over here thirsty as hell. Look at my bottle of water. It's frozen like a motherfucker.
Bad faith factors, and literally none of them would be relevant to this conversation. It could be the fact that the DNC actually paid me money to give this precise argument, and Kamal is on the phone with me right now, and it wouldn't have any impact on this particular debate.
I think it would be. I think that the motivation for why you're making the argument itself would have an impact on the debate. But I am willing to concede that if you just want to keep it to the material, we can. Let's move over to point 2 then. Point 2, you say resisting.
A picture of my man from Evil Dead in the background.
Any law or interference with the course of a government proceeding wouldn't fit rioting itself. How does that not fit rioting itself? Of course it does.
Well, let's say, for instance, the purpose of a riot was because you felt like the law wasn't being enforced. It wouldn't make sense to call that part of an insurrection. Let's say, for instance, that let's say that there was a lynching of a person and you felt like the cops weren't, upholding their duty or whatever. And so you decided to have a protest that turns into a riot, and you all show up with the goal of protesting and rioting because you felt like the law wasn't being carried out here. You wouldn't really call that an insurrection because they're not trying to contravene a legal process. Just because, again, you engage in unlawful conduct doesn't mean that you're trying to resist, like the implementation of the carrying out, resisting the laws.
That would be the same case with insurrection then. Insurrection would also require intent, right?
Yes. Yeah, correct. Yes. So the intent would be the contravening of the Electoral Count Act. When people say we need to march and make our voices heard on January 6th to the Capitol grounds where people are going to protest, they're protesting the execution of the Electoral Count Act, which demanded that Vice President Pence count the electoral votes. Donald Trump didn't want that. He made it very clear in the days preceding. Him, Bannon, Eastman, Chesbrough, and
they should put like a Spurg alert. Oh man. Well, you said sound is good. Maybe turn your mic up just a bit. My mic low? Is my mic low, guys? I don't want it to peak. Right. That's the thing. Like right now it's in the yellow. It is at like negative 10 dB though. I could turn that way up. I just don't want it to peak. I don't want it to like pop and have static sounds. Is my mic low, guys? Do y'all need me to turn it up? I don't mind. Just let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Like the Aaliyah song. Said I sound good? Okay. All right. All right. Just making sure. Making sure. Appreciate you guys. I want to make sure I don't want to, ruin your viewers' experience.
Everybody else that was working alongside him, Sidney Powell, everybody else was saying that we need to prevent Pence from counting.
So basically what Destiny is saying here is that whenever he agrees with protests and riots, it's cool, it's fine, it's not an insurrection. But whenever he disagrees with the purpose behind the riots or protests or whatever, then it is an insurrection. Because what Destiny is saying is like for the 2020 riots with the BLM stuff, that was totally fine, not an insurrection. I would agree. It's not an insurrection.
I ain't going front. I have a low ass voice, man. That's me. Right. It would be as loud as the clip if I was like on the mic like that. If I was closer to the mic because of my smooth jazz and R&B ass voice. Oh. My bad. I ain't trying to make all that noise. I mean, hopefully me just moving the mic closer helps out a lot.
I don't think that it's even close to an insurrection. I think it's riots, and I don't agree with it, but I don't think it's an insurrection. But when it comes to the J6 stuff, Destiny thinks that is an insurrection. Voice, and I don't see how it's much different because in the BLM... I
swear, not a day goes by where y'all don't remind me that I got an ASMR ass voice. And somebody's listening to my rap songs. Check out my music. It should be a playlist on my homepage. Somebody's listening. It's like, yo, sounds real good, but why are you whispering? Like, is it something? I was like, that's just my voice. That's like, yeah. I don't like doing a fake voice to rap. I can do different voices to sound like I'm not whispering on the mic, but this is just me. Soft ass voice, Beast Boy. You should have seen when I was trying to do gangster rap. Right, when I was like going on and pew, pew, on that Kevin Hart type flow. Sounded crazy.
Some stuff, they were asking for more justice for, either George Floyd or some of the other instances of police brutality. Whatever you think about that, kind of irrelevant to this point. But they were asking for justice. They were asking for people to look into this, look into the legal system, look into what's happening with that whole situation with the injustices towards Black people and police. When it comes to the J6 stuff, there was no trying to, I know that Destiny would just straight up disagree with this statement, but they weren't trying to overthrow the government or something. They were just trying to say, hey, let's bring some more attention to the fact that there could be foul play in this election. There could be something going on with the mail-in ballots or whatever. And because Destiny disagrees with the fact that you should look into more of this election stuff and look into how they counted the votes, look into some of the videos that we've seen, fishy looking videos and mail-in ballots, whatever, because he disagrees with that, Destiny's going to say that was an insurrection. But because he agrees with the BLM stuff and he agrees with the purpose behind those riots, he's going to say that's completely fine. And it is a riot, but it's not an insurrection. That's basically what he just said.
The electoral vote. That was the execution of a lawful government function.
Yeah, but even if
an act, and that's what people are going there to protest
but even
against.
if all that's true, Destiny, it still wouldn't matter because the events of January 6th themselves, the intent of the people could have just been to riot, not indeed to commit to any sort of treasonous insurrection activity. And you have failed to demonstrate this time and time again, how this actually would meet the criteria of an insurrection. Them showing up and just like your take in 2021, right? When you say, hey, look, the damage would have been way worse if they had shown up with the purposes of actual insurrection or some type of 1776 mindset. This is the most armed nation on planet Earth. How in the world can you say these people showed up specifically in order to do that? That makes no sense, man.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out.
Or hit like, subscribe to this channel as well. Show Beast Boy some love.
Let's get back to the video.
None of this law, none of that argumentation was stuck with her. People they obviously showed up to protest the certification of the vote. They were called there by Donald Trump.
If it's a non sequitur, then you in 2021 were using a non sequitur when you made the argument that from the appearance of this, it could not have been an insurrection.
2021 Destiny was incorrect because 2021 Destiny didn't have the historical context to understand an insurrection. If you want to bring him on here and talk to him, you can.
I am talking
agree with everything that I said.
Not you.
I am 2024 Destiny. I've learned more things.
Okay. Yo, Andrew cooked him with that. He's like, you're not you. What are you? I am 2024 Destiny. I am not the out Destiny. I am a robot from the future. What is he talking about? Yo, only somebody that's woke and delusional would use an argument like that. He sounds nuts. And I'm getting sick of January. What was it, 6th? I forgot the date already, nigga. Treating this shit like it's September 11th. Never forgets. I don't remember already. I do be on that green, though. I ain't gonna front. Hit that like button.
I have done more studying, I've read more papers, and I've done more research on this. There is actually a strong understanding of what an insurrection is, and there was a strong historical understanding of what an insurrection is. And the idea that a bunch of people were called on January 6th, the date wasn't a mistake. When Donald Trump sent them down there to protest, when he said, we need Mike Pence to do the right thing, what was he talking about? He wanted him to contravene the law, and that's what people marched down there for him to do.
Donald Trump said 30 minutes before this began that this needed to remain a peaceful protest on Twitter.
No, he didn't. He never said that.
He did. I actually have the tweet. I have the tweet. He did say that.
In the speech, he said to fight like hell. And in the speech, he said that we need to go down.
I'm talking about his tweets. Why would a person put out a tweet to be peaceful if their intent was insurrection, Destiny?
Why would a person call a protest on January 6th? What do you think they were protesting?
What do you mean? They call protest. People call protests all the time. That doesn't mean that
we're not talking about other protests. I'm asking you, what was the purpose of the protest on January 6th?
The purpose of the protest was to go out and show support for Donald J. Trump.
For what?
Well, there was a variety of reasons. I think.
No, wait.
What just sent that open? No. Don't use that shit. What is it? Something on here? Is this nigga promoting something? That was weird. That was odd as hell, son. Y'all seen me. I didn't press anything. Whoa.
I agree with Destiny. I think there was one clear reason, but there's different reasons.
Just opening pages on here, and I'm like, I thought this thing glitched out. It did glitch out, but I thought like the video, something happened
between what me and Andrew and Destiny think. I think the one clear reason was once again to draw more attention to the fact that there could be foul play in the election. And I think what Destiny is going to say is their one clear reason is to overthrow the election and force Donald Trump into office. And, maybe Andrew will say there's multiple different reasons. Some people just want to generally support Donald Trump. Some people want to draw attention to the election stuff. I think there's one clear reason why people showed up on J6, and it's because they wanted to draw more attention to the fact that there could be foul play in this election, and they found that the election process was unfair for that election. And I think that's fair. I don't think it's an insurrection, personally. Let me know in the comments if you think it is or not, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a protest, and I think obviously we have the right to protest in America, so I don't see the issue with it. And I think Destiny is definitely kind of caught in a corner here because Andrew Wilson did call out that in 2021 he completely contradicted himself right now, and it's a nice debate tactic that Destiny used there by saying you're not speaking to 2021 Destiny, you're speaking to 2024 Destiny, but just being able to call out the fact that Destiny completely contradicted himself in 2021 versus now, it's a big W for Andrew Wilson in my opinion.
Correct.
10 seconds.
Okay. What is the one clear reason? There was not a variety of reasons. Some people didn't show up just because they wanted to see what was happening. Some people didn't show up just to support the president. Some people didn't show up because they really like to go to protest. Everybody showed up for one reason, right?
I didn't say everybody showed up for one reason. I said they were called there for one reason. That was to protest the certification of the election.
Guys, that is time. I'm happy to let this play out longer if you guys want. And add an extra minute to the clock. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, we can add an extra minute.
I'll add an extra minute to the clock, and this is still round one of the open discourse, but just try to limit it to 1 minute, and then we'll go into round two of it. and then and we can go from there. And if we need more rounds at the 5-minute mark, we can absolutely do that. So
I have a problem with him ascribing motivation to all. He says there's one clear reason why everybody showed up. That's clearly not true. That doesn't even logically make sense. He could never demonstrate in a million years that there was only one clear reason why everybody showed up. That's a nonsensical argument, Destiny.
That's not the argument that I'm making. If the debate is whether or not January 6th is an insurrection, not did every single person on January 6th engage in the crime of insurrection, or did every single person on January 6th go with the intent to commit
why did you say there was one clear reason?
I said that there was a clear reason why people were called there, because there was. Donald Trump called people there to protest not on January 5th and not on January 7th and not in a random part of DC and not in a random part of the country. He called them on January 6th to the ellipses that was less than a mile walk away from the Capitol building, which is where he sent every single person after him.
Dude, come on, man. It's just so bad faith. Of course, if you're trying to protest something to do with an election, of course, I mean, the day that you do it would be important. You want the day to be able to you want it to be clear what the protest is about. So location of protest, day, time of protest. Like, of course, those things matter for every kind of protest, because normally what protests are trying to do is draw attention to a specific event. And if you're trying to draw attention to that specific, like, let's say you're trying to protest the Super Bowl. Why the hell would you try and protest the Super Bowl in, June, whenever football's not even going on? NFL football's not even happening in June. So why the hell would you do it? Of course, you're going to protest at a topical, in a time that...
I've seen some videos involving those protests that be looking suspect as hell. You ever seen the Cinder Block video? That was the craziest shit I ever seen in my life. I mean, because somebody had a video, I guess it was like they was from their apartment. It's close to the riot. So they're looking with their camera phone, and people pull up in a truck, hop out the truck, and just start stacking cinder blocks right next to the riot, hop back in the truck, drive off. I'm like, not the riot, the protest. I was like, what the hell? What is happening here? That's a little insane. Where they getting all this supplies from? That's odd.
Is very relevant. I did think, preferably maximum relevancy for whatever event that you're protesting, and also location. If you're protesting the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl is in New Orleans this year, why would you protest in Seattle? It doesn't make any sense.
His speech. He called them there on the day of the certification of the vote.
That doesn't tell us their motivation.
Trying to pressure Pence to overturn the election.
That doesn't tell us their motivation.
That they need to go and protest for the lawful slates of electors to be counted, the illegitimate ones that he submitted, and people went there.
Even if I grant your logic,
violent behavior, and they managed to delay the certification of the election, which is exactly. So then, do you admit then that?
No, I don't admit anything. Even if I grant your logic,
he always does that. They happen to
do every single thing that an insurrection called for without actually engaging in an insurrection?
Guys, give me a chance to respond. Real fast. Not only do I concede nothing, but your logic.
We ran out of time on that round. So what I'll do is this. I can see that this is a dynamic conversation, and clearly it's going to go out the balance sometimes of a time round. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set the clock for 10 minutes. That completes round one of the open discourse. But I see that this is a dynamic argument, and me just stopping it randomly at 5 minutes would probably be
that's dumb. Let him go in.
Stupid. So I'm going to let it play out. I'll put 10 minutes on the clock and have you guys go at it. Is that okay with both of you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So that video.
Destiny, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because I don't want to interrupt you guys again like that, so I'll just go ahead and put 10 minutes on the clock. And I will start it right now. You guys, you could pick right off where you left off, Andrew. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So to respond, right, and I'll be more charitable with the time back.
Y'all think that random ass pop up? Y'all think that was him trying to get me off of talking about this? Nah. Maybe that's my anxiety. Yeah. Y'all think Big Brother watching me right now? I think it's like 6 a.m. You think Big Brother watching? Big Brother watching me right now?
Back your way now that we have 10 minutes, Destiny, but it's actually an illogical argument to make to say, even if Donald Trump had some certain intent in his head, that would not mean that the people who were showing up for the protest had that intent. So the thing is like for you, both ways, it's a double entendre for your own logic. Either one, you claim, wait a second, there's one clear reason everybody showed up, or two, no, there was no clear reason why everybody showed up. They had multiple motivations, even if Trump himself had a different motivation. This is illogical argumentation.
I'm sorry, but this would never be applied to anything. If somebody says, hey guys, we're all going to show
That's
up.
not an argument either.
And I'm making the argument right now. If somebody were to make the call and say, hey guys, we're all going to show up to go and blow this building up, and a bunch of people showed up, and then a bunch of them marched with the crowd, and then they all went and a building got blown up, we wouldn't say like, oh, well, we don't know what the intention of the crowd was. We don't know what the intention of the leader there was. We don't know what actually happened there, because we can't divine the intention of every single individual person.
It's so bad faith, man. Like Destiny is, I get the point that he's trying to make, but at the same time, there was 0 people that said, let's go ahead and go to the Capitol building and not like force our way inside and overthrow the government. Like nobody said that. He's assigning that motive to those people and to Donald Trump without that ever being stated or even acted upon. Like they were let in. They didn't force their way in. They were let in, and they didn't try to overthrow any sort of government. It was a protest and they're trying to draw attention to something. I get the argument that he's making, and I agree. If there's people who say, let's go blow up a building, and then a big crowd of people go and they blow up the building. Yeah.
This video is for educational purposes. It's for educational purposes.
They probably were there to blow up the building, but you're assigning blowing up the building to these people that never even said they were going there to blow up the building. And then they didn't even blow up the building. Like they didn't even do the things that you're saying that their motive was for going there. I guess they kind of did, because they delayed the certification of the election. Okay. So in Destiny's case, if that's what he's saying is the equivalent to blowing up the building, I guess they did accomplish that part. I don't think that was most people's motive for going there. I think it was to draw attention to the foul play that happened in the election. But let me know in the comments, do you think Andrew Wilson won this debate, or do you think Destiny won this debate? Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. I think it was
Andrew Wilson smoked this nigga. I think that's clear as day. I think Andrew did him dirty, and I think that Destiny was crying after this, is what I think. I think Destiny cried his ass off, right? I think Destiny went to like his little woke meeting. It was like, did I win? I won, right? I won. And he was like, eh. It was like, eh. Nigga. Nah. Andrew smoked him. Destiny is trash. People keep trying to get me to debate him. I'm gonna be honest. If it's something that I really actually care to debate, I wouldn't mind, right? I wouldn't mind. I'm not like begging for it or rushing to go and do it. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Tell me what you think down in the comment section. Hit the like button, share the video as well. Also, check me out on Patreon for as low as $1. You get exclusive content, especially the new show that I'm working on.